Good evening and welcome to tonight's Bible study. We're picking up in Matthew chapter 14, verse 13 through 21. It said, When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowd followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowd away so that they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food. Jesus replied, They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat. We have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. Bring them here to me, he said. And he directed the people to sit on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. Very famous story. We see that it is here in Matthew. We see the same story in Mark. We see it in John. And so we know that Jesus fed a large crowd. But the occasion for this story is a very interesting one. It says, when Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. He heard the news that John the Baptist had been beheaded. John's disciples came and told Jesus the news, and they took John's body and buried it. And once Jesus heard this news, and especially the part that he heard that Herod thought that Jesus performing all these miracles was John the Baptist reincarnated, was Herod going to come next for Jesus and behead him, have him killed like he had John killed? We don't know. And so what we see is Jesus withdraw to a private place, a solitary place. A solitary place is to be alone, isolated place, place that is not near anything. And hearing this, the scripture said, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. So several different towns. And what we see, there's villages, which are very small places. There's towns, and then there's cities. So towns are, medium-sized places. The people are following him. They see him withdrawing, and on the Lake of Galilee, it's not a very large lake. You could practically, you could see boats on it. I think about the lakes that we live on, Otter Tail Lake and Rush Lake. I live on Rush Lake, and I can go out, and Rush Lake is about a mile across, according to most things. And usually you can see everybody on Rush Lake by standing on the docks and looking, especially during the winter time when, I could tell, for example, this week there's no ice fishing, nobody on the lake. The lake is completely cleared because you can see everything. Well, the Sea of Galilee is just a little bit bigger than that. Obviously, depending if you look northwest on Otter Tail Lake, you couldn't see completely across, but you can see completely across at certain points from east-west. And that's kind of what happened is people could see Jesus in this boat. They heard that it was Jesus, and they start following him. And it says they followed him on foot from the different towns. And when Jesus landed and he saw that there was a large crowd, he had compassion on them. And here we see Jesus is grieving. You have to remember, John the Baptist was just not another prophet. He was the one that baptized Jesus. But if you remember the story, it's in Matthew, Jesus is related to John because Mary is related to Elizabeth. And, they were cousins. And so a family member died, and Jesus hears this, and he withdraws and trying to grieve for the loss of a cousin, a fellow prophet, a teacher, his forerunner, the herald that saw that this is the Son of God, and all these different reasons. Jesus was wanted to be alone, but he had compassion on the crowd, and he did what he normally does: preach to them and heal the sick. It says, as the evening approached, though, his disciples came to Jesus and said, "This is a remote place." Jesus wanted to be at a remote place. He wanted to have some solitude. He wanted to go away, get away from the busyness of life and reflect upon the loss. "This is a remote place," they said, "and it's already getting late. Send the crowd away so that they can go into the villages and buy themselves some food." And basically the apostles are saying, this is remote. We don't have food to feed them. As a matter of fact, this is a large crowd. We find out it's 5,000 men. And it says, besides women and children. So if, you have 5,000 men, if half of them have wives, that's another 2,500. And kids, how many kids do they each have? I don't know. But the point is, it's much more than 5,000 people that ate that day. I would say above 10,000. But the way they counted things, they counted men only. But they said there were women and children. The point is, extremely large crowd, and what they had was 5 loaves and 2 fishes. 2 fish. I don't know how big a fish. I mean, even the biggest fish would not feed that many people. And so it's a remote place. It's getting late. The disciples did what was the responsible thing and say, hey, y'all need to go take care of yourself, buy food. But here's Jesus' reply to his disciples. They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat. He puts it on the disciples to feed this crowd. You give them something to eat. And they're like, we have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. You think about Jesus and his disciples, there's 13 of them. They have just barely enough food for them, much less this large crowd. But Jesus answered and said, "Bring it here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. He took what he had, the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, looked up into heaven, gave thanks, and broke the loaves. I'm assuming he broke the fish too and gave it to them. But here's the first time we see Jesus giving thanks for what he has. So here's the thing. No matter what you have, how little or how much, always start with giving what? Thanks. I grew up poor. And I could tell you, I was very thankful for the little we had. And that's something that some people take for granted, that they have an abundance, they have lots of food, they have a lot. But to give thanks for what you have. As a matter of fact, it's only when you're grateful for what you have are you even open to more. We see Jesus' habit was to be grateful. He gave thanks to God for what he had, and then he broke it. He was willing to share what he had. And that's an important lesson for us. We are called Christians. We are disciples of Jesus. We're supposed to be followers of Jesus. And the first thing I want to say is we should give thanks for what we have, and we should be willing to share with one another what we have. Doesn't mean that we give away everything, but sharing. If we have enough or more than enough of certain things, we should be able to share. So he broke it, gave it to the loaves. And I also want to say that this is the first time we see Jesus performing what we as Christians practice. The Lord's Supper, the Eucharist, whatever word you want to call it, where we give thanks for the bread, we break it, and he shares it. And it's a very interesting thing. Jesus did not hand it to the people himself. He said, then he gave it to the disciples, and the disciples gave it to the people. And that's a very important thing. He involved the disciples. He involved his disciples. The disciples were saying, we don't have enough. It's a remote place. But here's the miracle. The miracle were not for the people. It was for the disciples, for them to learn that Whatever you have, if you give it to God, it is more than enough. It's more than enough. Whatever we have as a church, if we give it to God, it is sufficient. The disciples were the point of this miracle. And we know it's the disciples because they said they all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over. Not the people. There were 5,000 people. The people did not, they ate. But the disciples, 12 disciples, each disciple picked up a basket full of leftovers. And the miracle was performed for the disciples so that their faith can increase. And quite often we look upon the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. No, it's a miracle of teaching the disciples that whatever you have, give thanks for it, share it. And it will go farther than we think. God can multiply our meager resources. As a church, we're not a rich church at Otter Tail or Joyful Spirit. Most churches aren't rich. But if we pool our resources together and share it and work together, God will work miracles. That's what the point was. Jesus was trying to teach his disciples. Take what you have. Give thanks for it. Share it. God will use what little you have for his honor and for his glory. The lessons was not about feeding 5,000. The lesson was to the disciples. Matter of fact, each disciple picked up a basket full of broken pieces. And then we get the number 5,000 men plus women and children. As disciples of Jesus Christ, we need to learn whatever we have, be thankful for it. Share it with one another. As a church, the church is not just one person, one rich person give all the money and do all the work and do all the ministry. The church is all the people working together, sharing their resources, God blessing it and multiplying it. We should be thankful for what we have. We'll end there for today, and we'll pick up next week.